This is Liberty Block semi-live from Nevermind Where, USA. Liberty is always top dog here. God bless our troops. Follow or subscribe if you never want to miss a beat. Drop a comment if you have something to say. Like and comment, hell yeah, if you're a blockhead. And of course, sharing is caring. Well, if you're not tracking this very closely, here's your chance to grab a cup of coffee and, for God's sakes, wake up. Pay attention. Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, a key route the rest of the world depends on to move oil, goods, and raw materials. For weeks, the rest of the world has sat idly by, hoping the sit-u would resolve itself, all while griping about Trump's foreign policy. Keir Starmer. The U.S. has had zero support from Europe or Asia, and they get a lot more oil from that region than we do. Russia and China are in on the fray as well, and they're providing aid behind the scenes to Iran. Economic and military aid, back channel, less lethal stuff to be sure, but aid nonetheless. And we've started a naval blockade of Iranian ports, which will further cripple the regime's economy, and might foster regime change. But I'd guess the president is growing impatient. I haven't heard that call to freedom bell, and the uprising hasn't occurred. So now the Trump administration stepped in with what they're calling Project Freedom, basically using U.S. naval power to force open the strait by escort and get those trapped vessels out finally. The escort service has begun. Cue the Trump jokes. Pretend Elliot Spitzer never existed. Iran isn't backing down. They're hitting ships, launching attacks, even striking targets in the UAE. Their ability to respond has been greatly degraded, but they're still somewhat effective. And it keeps making the news. Thank God for the mainstream media and their ability to support the enemy. But the question is this all worth the risk? Well, according to an article in the Free Press, the answer is yes. The fight for the Strait of Hormuz is underway by Aaron McLean. The reality. The longer Iran controls that strait, the more leverage they have. Gas prices go up, supply chains tighten, key materials like aluminum, which we actually get from there, well, they get squeezed. That hits American industry. That hits working people. That hits voters. Iran was never going to just reopen the straits out of goodwill. Their broken treaties on nuclear arms prove that. The ceasefire didn't work. The warnings didn't work. The waiting, well, that could eventually work, but at some point, you accept the pressure or decide to break the will of the Iranian regime. Is this a Kaiser Soze moment? Apparently, the troops are still not an option. The U.S. has chosen to break pressure by escort. Yes, it risks escalation and broader conflict, but the alternative is letting a hostile regime choke an artery of the global economy even longer. That strategy, according to some, means surrender by delay. The rest of the world seems to have little interest in the free flow of oil from that dominant region, where they're getting it, or in preventing Iran from acquiring nukes. Treaties didn't work for that. Iran actually counted on them. But if we don't take away Iran's leverage now, we're going to pay for it later, economically, politically, and militarily. I've asked this question before. Would the price of oil be less if the strait was radioactive? And that's the reality that Europe and Asia do not want to acknowledge. They and our left blame Trump. Okay, But Europe and Asia should swallow their collective pride and act in their own interest. If not, send them the bill. This is Liberty Block, and I yield back the balance of my time. God bless.